You talk about having some of these like security best practices, let's call them, in place of who has access to what and when and how. Can you talk a little bit more about that and how can an organization instill some of those and what's the best practice there? Is it making a tech usage policy? Is it having just standardized kind of like a back end wiki? What are some of your suggestions for ensuring that organizations have those regulations?
So I like to look at things in terms of a maturity cycle. So it depends on where you're at in the cycle, right? At different steps of that life cycle in terms of becoming more and more digitally mature, there's going to be things like, do you have an IT manager? Do you have offsite managed IT? Do you have a chief information security officer, chief information officer? Depending on what types of roles and what size of organization, does DevOps handle it for you? Is it an operations manager that kind of oversees your IT contract? All those different things are going to be different life cycles in an organization in terms of size or the industry they're in, et cetera. So in different phases, the very first thing I would do across the board, policy and all that kind of stuff is really important, and I'll get to that. But security training, you have to start with security training. That's like the single biggest thing that almost half of our businesses across the US and the world don't do is invest in any kind of semi-annual, quarterly, annual security training that, even though it can be boring, oftentimes you can increase the likelihood of your business not getting hit by a cyber attack by almost 50 to 80% if you just train your employees 1 to 2 times a year, literally.